Bubble has certain capabilities. It has a ton of capabilities actually, but with those comes some limitations as well. Now, not all of those limitations are deal breakers. They don't mean you can't build your app on Bubble. They might mean you need to use other third-party services or should only build certain components of your app on Bubble though. Now, mostly, Bubble is about things that you can do. I want to show you a simple example of building something on Bubble to give you an idea of even the bare basics kind of customization you can do. Let's jump in here, create an app, and design a sign-up form, which is something nearly every app will have. Right now, I'm logged into my Bubble account, and I'm in the My Apps section of my account. I'm going to click on New App over here to create a new app. I'm going to go ahead and name my new app Gabby's New Demo. I added hyphens in because I can't have any spaces in the name of my app. So Gabby's New Demo is my new app, and I will click on Create a New App to get it started. Whenever you create a new app on Bubble, Bubble's going to give you all of these presets and guides to help you get started and become familiar with the editor. But I'm going to go ahead and start with a blank page by clicking this button here on the bottom left. So now that I have a blank page, I can get started with creating my sign-up form. The reason I want to build a sign-up form is because this is something that's very popular in many apps. A lot of apps that require users of any kind will need a sign-up form at some stage. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to my visual elements on the left-hand side here. These are all of the different types of elements that I can add to my page. So I'm going to click on text and then drag and drop that on my page. This little gray box here that just popped up is called the property editor. This is where I can modify and really customize the appearance of my text element. So I'm going to give it a text and say sign up. Now I want this to be much bigger because this is more like a title for my page. So I'm going to go down here to the style. Bubble has a lot of preset styles that you can apply to a text element, but you can also remove the style and do your own custom appearances. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'll center it. And I'm going to change the color to blue. Great. Now I have my sign up text and I can start building the form. In order for users to type in their email address and password, anything that I want to collect in the sign up, I need to give them an input. So I'm going to go over back to the left side here to my list of elements and scroll down a little bit further to my input forms. These are all of the different types of elements where a user can type in some text, make selections. So we're going to select the regular input element. I'm going to drag and drop that on the page just like I did with the text. And you can see here in the property editor, I'm prompted to enter in a placeholder. This is the helper text that will let the user know what they should be typing into the input. So I'm going to type in email address. I'm also going to tell Bubble that this input is an email address so that it knows later how to save what the user has typed in here. Now I want to add another input of the same size so that everything is even so that the user can type in their password. The easiest way to copy an input is to right-click and select Copy from this menu. Then I will right-click on the page and select Paste. Now I have a duplicate input of the same size and I can modify from there so that this is for the password. I'm going to change the placeholder to password and also change this selection here to let Bubble know that this is a password. Bubble will actually mask the password and use dots for it so that you're not actually seeing the password you're typing in as you're typing. Next, I'm going to add a button to my form so that the user can submit their email and password and proceed with the sign up. So I'm going to scroll back up to my visual elements, select button element, and drag and drop that on my page. I'm going to give the button a label, submit, And I'm going to change the color of this button as well. This is a preset style for a button that Bubble has, so I'll remove it and scroll down a little bit on the property editor for the button and change the color. Let's change it to green. This form kind of looks like it's floating in the middle of space, so I'm going to give it some background to the page so that we can have a little bit of separation between the form elements and the color of the page. So what I'm going to do is select all of my elements. I'm holding Shift down on my keyboard and clicking each element so that I can select all of them at the same time. And then I'm going to right-click and group the elements. Now, my entire form can move as one on the page. I can change the color of my background on the page so that it's standing out a little bit from the group of the sign-up form. And then the group can have a background color too. Now I can resize my group, and I'm really starting to customize the way that this sign-up form is looking. So as you can see, you can really customize how this page looks. I went from a completely blank page to a sign-up form that is designed exactly how I want it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You can really fine-tune the appearances of each element to make it your own. So even from that quick overview, you can see the kind of power Bubble gives you. Every single aspect of that form was customizable. And the one we just built is bare minimum basics. In reality, you can do infinitely more. A lot of entrepreneurs come onto Bubble thinking they can only build an app on the platform. But sometimes they don't realize you can build the entire back and front end of a business too. Landing pages, for example, are a simple way to make use of Bubble instead of paying for an outside service to achieve the same result. If you want to have an email opt-in to bring early adopters on board before actually launching, you can build a simple landing page on Bubble in addition to your app. You can also do marketing after launching. If you want a website to funnel pay-per-click advertising leads, or even an analytics dashboard for your business, you can build it all on Bubble. The options really are limitless here. And the really great thing is, Bubble lets you start from a blank canvas, so you can start from wherever you want. But even better is, if you need some guidance, maybe a complete blank canvas is too intimidating, Bubble gives you guidelines or help if you want it. For example, Bubble has a handful of design tools to help you make sure your layouts are spaced evenly and pixel perfect. You can see here, if I check this box to show element borders, that all of my elements now have this orange border to help me see things clearly. I can also show distances on hover so that I can see how much space is between each element. I can also turn on a page-wide grid to really make sure that my layout is evenly spaced. I talked about the styles that Bubble has for all of your elements. Bubble gives you an entire style section to create presets for all of your designs. But when you create a new app, Bubble has a whole bunch of them already there for you to work from. Also, with most elements, you can go to the property editor and click on the question mark icon to pull up a contextual video. This is a short video that Bubble has available to you to explain what everything does and how it can be used in your app. With Bubble, you can either play Picasso and dream up your own masterpiece, or you can simply use it as a high-level adult-style coloring book. Like I said before though, there are some limitations to keep in mind too. The first big one is that Bubble isn't designed for native apps. Bubble is meant to create web applications to be used on a computer or on a mobile device, but through the browsers. So if you want to get your app in the app stores, like the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, you need to get your Bubble app in a compatible format, and that's known as wrapping the application. So there are third-party services that will wrap your Bubble app in a compatible format so that they can be submitted to the app stores. but Bubble doesn't do that for you, so you have to find another service to help you with that. A lot of bubblers like to use GoNative or PhoneGap to make this happen. If you do want a truly native application, you can use Bubble to act as the back end only and build the native front end on another platform. DropSource is a very popular platform for this. You build the entire application design and everything in DropSource. They will give you the true native code to put into the app stores, but Bubble can serve as the backend. It can be where your database is stored and even run some server-side workflows. No one's interacting with the Bubble app, they're interacting with the DropSource app, but you can connect the two so that you can have the power of Bubble working with the native application. So I know I just used some terms like working on a server or exporting native app code. If you don't know what those mean, that's okay. You can still build your app without code. Those third-party services that I mentioned will actually walk you through the steps required to make those apps happen. You don't need to know how to do those things right now, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew what your options were before you got started. Another thing to keep in mind is that Bubble isn't built to handle heavy animation. So gaming apps, for example, aren't going to be the best things to build on Bubble. You can build simple games in general, like trivia games or flashcards for teaching math, but ones needing really heavy animations and graphics won't be supported how you want. Lastly, apps that process a lot of data, like spreadsheet-based apps, will need some extra attention. Bubble can handle a lot of data. You can build really powerful apps that work with many records. However, if you're expecting instant results, much like a Google Sheet or Excel spreadsheet might work, Bubble is going to be a little bit slower and not perform as speedy as those types of spreadsheet applications.